What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Underdog Podcast, continuing my series of the top 5 players at every position of the draft. This video is coming out a little later today. I was up really late last night doing homework, so didn't quite get to it till now, so bear with me. It'll still be out today, it'll just be out later. So today we're covering my top 5 tight ends in the 2022 NFL Draft. Definitely an interesting class, definitely very deep. There's definitely more polarizing guys than not. We'll see kind of where I have these guys ranked. So starting off with number 5, a big combine riser, I have Jelani Woods from Virginia. Woods really tested really well at the combine. He was probably one of the biggest risers, just really showed off his athleticism, scored really high on the RAS score. He's very, reminiscent of other superb athletes coming out as a tight end. Chris Herndon really comes to mind, and Logan Thomas as well. He is incredibly athletic, but he's also very, very stiff on tape. You don't see that like smoothness in the route running or anything like that from Jelani Woods on tape, but it is good to know that athleticism is in there. He was versatile at Virginia Tech after starting his career off as a quarterback at Oklahoma State. He played both inline and the slot, more inline obviously. Good blocker, physical, with his hands, blocking. He's got a massive frame that is good for both blocking and catching. He really does, maul dudes in the run game. And then he uses that massive frame to be able to be that big, in between the hashes target for quarterbacks. He does explode off the line, for a guy his size, but then like he's really like just stiff in his route running. Like he gets to routes and he's not like, coming at him cleanly. He's really, very stiff, coming out of him, which is, I guess not uncommon for a guy of his frame, but it is, quite concerning. And he does, other stuff too, that frame's used for is just defenders just bounce off him. I mean, he's very good at breaking tackles, I wouldn't say he's a home run threat like after the catch, but he's, and can't really make guys miss, but I mean, you better wrap him up because he'll run you over. He's also, and I wouldn't say he's got the best hands. I mean, he's a body catcher, not a hands catcher where you like to see, receivers and tight ends and even running backs, catch with their hands, not their body. Then he's older, so a little bit more, concerning age when you got a prospect or a project. Sorry, that's kind of what Jelani Woods is looked at right now as a project. So we'll see if he can blossom into a great tight end. I believe in him. I believe in his athleticism and his talent. It's just, can he go to the right team in order to develop him? Then my number 4 guy is definitely someone who I think is being really slept on, and it's Charlie Kohler from Iowa State. Kohler been one of the best tight ends the last 2 or 3 years at Iowa State. Super productive receiver, for Iowa State. He was Brock Purdy's go-to target, in third down, red zone situations. I think he's the opposite of Woods, where he's very smooth as a route runner. That's probably his best trait as a tight end. He looks, like Kelsey from the receiving standpoint, but he's not a very good blocker. But he does run really smooth routes, really crisp routes, doesn't drop the ball at all. I mean, he is probably some of the best hands in this class outside of Trey McBride. He is, going to be, I think a vertical threat, but also an intermediate short route threat with his superb route running. He's got great hands, like I said, doesn't drop the ball. I think some of his weaknesses are that he just, I always said he's not a great run blocker. Other than that, he's not super explosive like Kelsey can be. He's just kind of like more of your like possession route running type. He's not super explosive after the catch. However, he is a very reliable target of the sticks, similar to like Schultz. But I think Kelsey's a really good comparison because he does have that ability to be able to be that home run threat like Kelsey. He just didn't really show it at Iowa State. But he is, again, smooth route runner, great hands. I think those are his two best qualities. He's got a great catch radius, really good athlete. Again, I just don't think he's that superb home run threat like you see George Kittle or, somebody like that. Or like even like Gronk was, the ability to make big plays. I think Kohler's just going to be a really solid tight end with that ability on the occasion. I just don't think it's going to be as often making those big chunk plays as a Travis Kelce. And then my number 3 tight end, which is most people's number 1 throughout the draft process, is Greg Dulcich. I'm just not a big, like, he just reminds me of, like, Dalton Keene too much. Like, Dalton Keene was, around the same, like, frame as him, like 6'4", or I guess Keene's a little bit taller than that. He's, like, 6'6", but, like 6'4", lengthy, like, the guy that can, run H-back, run, maybe as a fullback even, and runs down the field. He just, like, I feel like it's a trap, like, kind of like Dalton Keene was. And that being said, he's still a very good prospect. I think he's the best at utilizing leverage against defenders, and he's just a natural receiver of the football. He's just a bigger receiver. I just think that a lot of people think he's NFL ready, but I think he still needs some work, in his game. Other things he's really good at, I think he's really good at getting off, like, avoiding contact. So he uses, hands and feet in unison to do so when he's getting off the line of scrimmage. And then he's also very fast for a tight end. I don't think he ran as fast as we thought he was going to at the combine, but he definitely has really fast play speed. I think he plays faster than the 4.60 he ran. I think he's more like a mid 4.5 guy, low 4.5 guy for Dulcich. The reasons that I'm lower on him is he's very thin. He's more like towards a receiver than an actual tight end. And he gets really wide in his run blocking. And I still feel that as a tight end, you still need to be able to block in this league. And I don't know how good of a run blocker he is. And then some of his route running is a little bit questionable. He either like comes in too high or he's like over exaggerating, his cuts. So I think he definitely needs work there, but he's gonna be a big, like vertical threat. Big, just like seam routes up the hash. Like that's gonna be Dulcich, where he's gonna thrive as a rookie. And then I think once he gets his, route running more like refined and better cuts. I think he'll be used all over the place as a tight end. But I think Schultz is a really good comparison for him. I think he's going to be faster than Schultz, but he's more like kind of like how Dalton Keene was coming out. Like I said, could be used anywhere. You could put him in the backfield. You could put him as a wing. You could put him as a fullback or an H-back type. So I think Dulcich is really versatile. I just don't know with that slight frame how well he's going to hold up at tight end currently. And then my number 2 guy is Isaiah Likely. I think Likely is probably, outside of Jelani Woods, the most athletic guy in this class, but he also has the production to back it up at Coastal Carolina. His last season, he had 59 catches, 912 yards, and 12 touchdowns, and slowly upped his progression every year. So I think that, you get the production with it. Yes, he was at a smaller school, but I still really like Isaiah Likely as a prospect. I think he is I think he's even better than McBride as a route runner in this draft class. I mean, his ability to set up defenders and then stem his routes is just like, it's like a receiver, man. I mean, he's really great at doing that. He runs routes on the outside regularly. He's kind of like Mike Gesicki in that role where he's running as like an outside receiver, so you can move him around. Not so much like Dulcich where you can put him in the backfield and type things. I think he's more like you can move him, as an inline tight end, in the slot, or even as an outside like X receiver, you could put him out there. And then he has the speed to easily outrun linebackers. He also can outrun some safeties at some times. So I think, Likely is definitely, he's a big play threat, out of Coastal Carolina. And he was productive. I mean, he averaged 2.4 yards per route over his career, which is incredible. I mean, so Likely definitely, I think, could hit the ground running depending on what spot he's in. Now his weaknesses are, like Dulcich, he's not the biggest guy. He's only 245, so I think if he bulks up to like 255, 260, within the next year or two, I think then you can really see him getting more respect in the run game because he's not a great blocker. As when he was in line, he was only really used to block like linebackers. He wasn't used to block defensive ends or like, seal block, anything like that. It was more like get to this linebacker, get to this safety, and block him. And he was schemed up a lot. His production was schemed up a lot in that Coastal Carolina offense. However, I still think a lot of it was from him. I mean, he's a superb athlete, and I think his ability to get open should not be overlooked. I think there's guys in the NFL today that get, a lot of their production based on schemes. I think Cooper Kupp's a good example. I think Deebo Samuel's another great example. And they still, find ways to produce in terms of the tight end spectrum. I think Kittle, I think Mark Andrews, those are two really prime examples of guys that are schemed up as, getting the football a lot, and they still, find a way to produce as well. So I really like Isaiah Likely in this draft. I'm actually pretty high on him. Probably like second round grade for me. Whereas the other guys I've seen as like third, fourth round guys, I really think Isaiah Likely is a second round grade, along with my tight end number 1 being Trey McBride from Colorado State. McBride really, I think he's got the best hands in this class, easily. He's got the most diverse route tree, which I think a lot of times in college you don't see. The tight ends have, that, big of a route tree because of, most of them are not really the focal point of the offense, but he was the focal point of the offense. His last year at Colorado State, be it that he had 122 targets, 91 receptions, 1,100 yards as a tight end, which is almost unheard of. Yet only 1 touchdown, which is, kind of, discouraging. But still, nonetheless, you can't argue with the production. He strides past these linebackers easily. So he's, again, going to be used on the seams. But I think he can come in here day one and really be a top 10 route runner as a tight end. I really mean that. It just depends on where he's going to go. There's a lot of tight end needy teams, actually, in the draft. So I really like his chances of going somewhere and then being able to produce right away as that number 1 guy. We'll just see how that goes. And then he's not, I think some knocks against him is he's not going to be a move tight end. He's not going to be able to win outside, even though he did, because I think it was his level of competition. He was a man amongst boys out there. He's going to be mainly an inline and then occasionally moving to the slot. I don't think you can put him outside one-on-one and expect him to win. Just not, I don't think it's going to be his game. And then he's more of just like, a straight line guy. He's not going to make anybody miss. And I think that even though his route running was great and he was diverse, I think, there are some rooms for improvement there as well. He ran a lot of the route tree, but I think his routes could be crisper. And then he's decent as a blocker. I think he definitely can improve there, but he's not like, Kohler or Likely as just being like, like nothing as blockers. I think he can improve his physicality as well. He's going to need to improve it with the, with the jump to the NFL. So we'll see how that works out. But that is it for this video. That is my top 5 tight ends in the 2022 NFL Draft. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like and a comment. Next up, we got offensive tackles, another kind of polarizing class as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. And we're 2 weeks away from the draft now. It's getting closer and closer, so I'm really excited. Also stay tuned. My mock draft 3.0 will be, will be coming out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the week of the draft. So stay tuned for that, please. Maybe doing one with a friend. I don't know yet. Might be up on this channel. So we'll see how that goes. But thanks for watching, everybody, again. I appreciate all the support. Have a great day and peace.